Imagine you just got third at the state track meet, and the people in first and second were biological men who identify as female. With more men transitioning, female sports are at risk to be taken over by trans men. A growing concern is that with more trans men in female sports, women will have less opportunities and the sports will become unfair. I am credible because I have read many articles stating facts of why trans men should not be in female sports. I have also wrestled men and it is significantly harder than wrestling a female. Today I'm going to talk to you about how men are stronger, have better joints and bones, and who will be affected by allowing them in female sports. First, we need to address the many ways men have a strength advantage, such as muscle difference. Females have 40% less skeletal muscle in their upper body and 33% less in their lower body than men. Females are 30 to 35% muscle weight compared to men who are only 40 to 45%. This is why women's body fat percentage is much higher. Grip strength is something that many people use to test strength. The top 10% of women can only beat the bottom 10% of men in grip strength. Fair play for women 2020. Wrestling men is a whole different game because of the inexperience and strength differences. Rondu 2020. Another thing that is different and much stronger for men is their ligaments. When men are much stronger than women and women have weaker ligaments and bones, there will be a lot of injuries that could be prevented. At puberty, women's ligaments become more lax compared to men. Being lax is designed for separation in the pelvic bones for preparation of childbirth. Laxicity causes instability, which then leads to more injury. So with men who have better ligaments, it's another unfair advantage to women. Women also have wider pelvises, which makes thigh bones angled downward more sharply than men, which makes such injuries as tearing your ACL much more common in women. Peak male bone mass that is 50% more than women's. Women also lose bone faster than they age. Men also have longer arms and longer legs. Fair play for women 2020. As we are learning that men have stronger bones and ligaments, we also need to take a look at the people who will be affected by allowing trans men into female sports. With trans men playing women's sports, many athletes would have less opportunities and would have less scholarships. Many athletes rely on scholarships to pay for college. With more men transitioning, the chances for women are lowering. The fastest 100-meter dash run by a woman is 10.9, Reveal 2004. But just to qualify for the men's 100-meter dash in the Olympics, the time is 10.5. That means a women's Olympic champion in the 100-meter dash would lose to men who weren't fast enough to qualify. As you can see, the people playing these sports will be affected by trans men in female sports, and that is why we need to stop/prevent this from happening.
I could potentially break the British female squat record, and I don't even compete.
So if you're a woman and you're a natural woman and you don't take any extra hormones or male hormones, you're not taking steroids or any sort of performance enhancing drugs, you're doing your very best to compete and you're at the top of the heap. But then someone comes along that was a man for 30 years and decides they're going to be a woman, and this has happened, and literally transitioned a few months ago and competes as a woman and destroys records and dominates you in that sport. That's bullshit.
As you can see in my visual aid, that is Joe Rogan, and he's talking about how it is unfair and how many people are doing it, and it's not just a few select people. This is happening all over the world, and mainly a lot of the time in the US. The solution. The solution to this problem is by only having biological women play in female sports. The reason is the difference in strength, difference in ligament strength, and difference in bone durability. By having no biological men in female sports, women wouldn't lose their opportunities to win state, get scholarships, and girls would stay out of sports. The first problem is men having more strength than women. It will help because no men will be in their sports and they won't have to be afraid of not getting the varsity spot We're qualifying for things because the playing field will be fair and the opponents will have the same ability of strength. The next issue is having stronger ligaments. This will help girls be less scared of being aggressive. If you're playing against a man who is stronger and you have weaker ligaments, you are more likely to get hurt. Without men in female sports, they will be able to play without the fear of getting hurt because I'm playing against men. The next problem that will be solved is girls having fair opportunities. With this, girls will get their fair shot at being D1 athletes or simply just being able to play their sports and have fun because the game isn't unfair or scary. But there is always a counter argument. If they are using testosterone blockers, they will be fine. Just let them play. Even with testosterone blockers, they will still be taller and stronger than girls. Jones, 2019. When you have a man who is 6'1" and a girl who is 5'10", when they transition to female, they're still going to be taller than the female and have more strength, which is simply unfair and should not be allowed. Another argument, but you're not letting them play, so you're just transphobic. You could care less if they actually played, you just don't support transgender. Many think that not allowing trans men in female sports is transphobic, but it's not. Women's sports were created so the playing field was fair because men are naturally stronger. So with men now moving into women's sports, the whole reason for girls' sports has vanished. There needs to be some alternative created for trans athlete, but the answer isn't joining women's sports. Now we know how to help making these changes and not allowing trans men in female sports, but what would it look like if it didn't happen? If trans men are allowed to play in female sports, a lot would change. Numbers would drop due to girls quitting. Girls would quit because it's so unfair to the point it's useless to play. Trans men will start taking all the scholarships from the girls and win state in every sport possible. In the end, what will happen is girls' sports would slowly disappear and turn into trans men's sports. In conclusion, trans men shouldn't be allowed in female sports. I challenge you to stand up for women's sports. The process to do this is to make your opinion known. Voice your opinion to your state's athletic union, saying how it's unfair to girls' sports. If you don't want to do that, make a change by not playing against trans men. This will help the state see the issue and address it. With that, I'm going to leave you with one thing. If you place second in the state tournament and the person you lost to was a biological man, would you be okay with that? Questions?
How has any trans athletes competed in the Olympics?
In 2021, for the first time ever, Laurel Hubbard was the first trans athlete to compete in the Olympics.